So hello everyone, welcome to this class. So today we are going to discuss about the topics such as the Paramountcy over the princely states as well as about the local self-government. So let's start today's topics and today's class. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the Paramountcy over the princely states, various princely states which were ultimately became the part of the larger British Indian Empire. So there were multiple and many princely states. The whole India, which we now see geographically, was divided into many princely states, and this total area was roughly around 7 lakh 1200 508 square miles, and they counted no fewer than 562 in number. So there were 562 independent princely states in India. So these states vary greatly in size, ranging from tiny ones like Bilbari, which was just with a population of 27 people, and as large as Hyderabad, which is equal to present day Italy. So this was the various sizes of the princely states, and this during this whole process of conquest of East India Company, they acquired significant coastal regions, fertile valleys, along with various major places. So these various 500 plus, in fact 562 to be very precise, princely states were in very diverse geographic regions, and in contrast the Indian states were generally situated in remote and less fertile regions of Indian peninsula. So the Indian states, in comparison with the princely states, were in the interior of the earth, and they were the less fertile area. The formation of these Indian states were largely influenced by the same factors that contributed to the expansion of East Indian Company's authority in India, that is through war, through various treachery, or through various means, through various treaties and all. These princely states also historically grew. The progression of relation between these princely states and the British authority, they delineated through the various overarching stages. So multiple stages are there about the relationship between the British East India Company and then the British Crown and princely states. So let's state the various stages. So the first stage was the company's struggle for equality from a position of subordination between the period 714 to 1765. So before 1765, the British East India Company were under subordination. They were looked down upon by the princely states. But after 1714, when the things were turning, when the tide was changing in the south of India, and by 1750s, because of various battles like Battle of Plassey and Buxar, now the British East India Company was looking for the equality, and this is after the Anglo-French competition in 1750s. Right, then after Battle of Plassey, we have been seeing that East India Company's elevation in the stature as well as the revenue has been grown. So by 1765, with the acquisition of Diwani rights, that is the collection of revenue over Bengal, Bihar and Odisha, the East India Company solidified its status as a major political force on the equal terms with the various princely states. The policy of ring fence. So the policy of ring fence, if we talk about that, we had some glimpse about this policy of ring fence when uh, when I told you that this ring fence policy was to secure the important territories of the English East India Company. So this was like a, a ring where major territories or very important territories were bifurcated, or were not in exact, you can say, defensive, or you can say they were not in a direct confrontation with any foreign power. So there was some buffer state between these major territories and some attacking power. So this strategy was exemplified by the Warren Hastings military campaigns against the Marathas and Mysore, and this was aiming to establish buffer zones. As I have told you, the primary threats were posed by Marathas and Afghans. That is why Awadh was a buffer state after 1765 Battle of Buxar against the Afghans. And also these southern India's states were used as the buffer state against the invading forces of Marathas. So Wellesley's policy of subsidiary alliances served as an extension of this ring fence approach. Subsidiary alliance means you have to accept the sovereignty of the Britishers, and you will be under the subsidiary alliance where you have to accept British resident and all. We have discussed this subsidiary alliance, this ring fence policy in a very greater manner, where I have talked about these policy through different angles, that is extension or consolidation of British Indian Empire through administrative process. So now we are seeing these policy, about how these policy were used for the relationship between British Indian Empire and princely states, and how the British East India Empire, they consolidated the Paramountcy with the princely states. So the major powers like Awadh, Hyderabad, Marathas, they were acquired through these subsidiary alliance and solidifying the supremacy of the Britishers. Then we have come about the next policy, that is the policy of subordinate isolation. Now, what is this policy? That you will be subordinating any princely state, but you have also been using the policy of isolation, that you will not be too much interfering in them. So as the imperial concept expanded, the notion of paramountcy began to take shape, emphasizing that the Indian states were expected to cooperate and subordinately with the British government and recognize its supremacy. So you have to recognize, you have to accept the sovereignty or the supremacy of the Britishers. These states relinquished all aspects of external sovereignty while retaining authority over the internal administration.